G'day, I'm Chris and this is Game Chambers. Today we have a replay of a tournament battle that I had against Void. It was BBB August's Faction Speedrun, and I was taking the Knights of Caledor against his Vampire Bloodline von Carstein. We have a bit of an aerial duel today, so let's have a bit of a look through the factions and see what we've brought. So I have got Imric mounted up on Miniathnir. I've brought a front line of White Lions of Trace, backed up by a couple of Swordmasters of Hoth. And to cover them all off, I've got a Loremaster of Hoth to provide a bit of magical support. I was considering going the Archmage to get Tempest, which I, in hindsight, should have done. But I've got this thing where I want to see if I can make a Loremaster and dual Swordmasters work, just because I happen to think they're really awesome and they look cool. Also got a couple of Lothern Seaguard and the Sisters of Avalon in the back line, and to protect them I have a single Spearman. So both Lothern Seaguard and Sisters of Avalon can fight okay if they get hit by zombies, and if they come up against knights or anything like that, that's what the Spearmen are for. Now Void has brought a von Carstein Vampire Lord, and I don't think he actually brought the Tempest ability here. I don't remember him using. Oh, he did, Storm of the Night, so he does have that. He's also backed up by a Terrorgeist, 2 units of Vargeists, and a unit of Fellbat. So Imric is very outclassed in the air, and immediately I notice this and I turn him back around. I'm going to have to remain near my magical and ranged support to provide here. His front line is made up of zombies, and you can see he's gone for a very long, narrow formation. Now this, I believe, is to reduce the amount of damage that they take in melee and make them last a little bit longer, and also allow the Graveguard to push through those front lines a bit easier. And he also has a Necromancer here on a Corpse Cart, which I believe is for the draining effects. Has it got the draining effects? Let's have a look. It's got the Vigor Mortis, so which gives the buff to all the troops, but doesn't seem to have the draining effect. No, okay, so it's just there to buff the troop. And that's the factions. So immediately I begin moving up a little bit, just because I don't want to wait too long for this battle. And I can see I'm keeping Imric within range of the Sisters. I can see he's splitting his aerial forces. So I think if I send Imric this way, I might be able to get a pick on the Terrorgeist, but then Terrorgeist pulls back. So I bring Imric back this way to cover the Vampire Lord. And while the Vampire Lord is out there, I figure I'll try and see if I can hit him with Shem's Burning Gauge, which does a little bit of damage, just to start getting that Vampire Lord closer to heal cap and give Imric the best chance of beating him in an aerial duel. I do try to send the ranged units after him, but Void wisely pulls back, and I have to bring back the archers. So I start moving the front line forward here to meet the vampires. I'm just trying to keep the ranged units with Imric to try and provide support. And here I just try and put a bit of fire onto the Terrorgeist, which Void manages to dodge quite effortlessly. But that Terrorgeist will take significant damage from the Sisters of Avalon because they are flaming and magical and armor piercing. Again, Imric just sort of threatening them off here. I do see the Gazer Nagash coming in. Last second managed to dodge half of it with Imric, but he does take a pretty big hit. And the von Carstein Lord comes in, and we just try and pour as much fire into him as we can. And here I go thinking I'm going to take the fight. And you can see here, Void, I'm going to slow it down a touch because this is where I think it all falls apart for me. So Void drops in on my Sisters with the Fellbats and drops Skeleton Warriors on the Lothern Seaguard. So I send the Spearmen in to try and free up the Sisters, but I don't pull them back in time to get the Sisters out of the fight. So what I should have done was brought them back here through the Spearmen so they could continue to fire and provide support. Imric here is trying to come in on the von Carstein Vampire Lord, so I've dropped Lord of Dragons on him, and I think I'm going to drop Spirit Leech as well. But he pulls away from Imric and doesn't want a piece of that fight, so I bring Imric back to try and free up my Sisters. And there you go, I've just given them the order to move back. The Fellbats have now gone, and you can see the frontline engagement has started here. So the Swordmasters have gone in. I've tried to get them in on the Graveguard, but I think they've got themselves all caught up on this unit of zombies here. And I'm a bit slow giving these White Lions of Trace here an attack order, these Swordmasters and these White Lions, so I haven't really given them a good order here. I've gotten a bit distracted with the back line. So here I'm trying to pull the ranged assets back while Imric clears things off here. Imric cops a breath weapon, but I managed to get him back up into the air and get some range fire coming back on that von Carstein Lord. Up here, the Swordmasters are engaged, but the Terrorgeists and the Vargeists have gone in on my left flank, and I still haven't noticed my right flank is not engaged yet, which is pretty bad. So I need these guys to be in there killing those great weapons and pushing their way through those zombies, but I'm a little bit focused on getting this Vampire Lord out of my back line. And he's dropped another unit of skeletons here. So Imric's giving chase. I do pull him back because I see the Terrorgeist coming to support, and I'm a little bit far away from my range support, and I don't really want to get that caught out and surrounded. So I do bring the ranged assets forward. I think they might have still been chasing after the von Carstein Lord. And here I realise I can't escape the Terrorgeist, and I've got the Vargeist coming in, so I should turn to fight. This flank is completely overrun, completely lost cause, and I finally notice what's going on the right flank and bring the White Lions in to fight the Graveguard. Swordmasters unfortunately are fighting zombies, so they will get held up a little bit there, and the unit of Graveguard is made through the back lines here, which these Swordmasters should 100% have been able to intercept. The Sisters here are finally free. The Spearmen here should be moving forward to free up these Lothan Seaguard, and Imric is in a little bit of trouble, and you see Void is very good with those summons, and he's immediately got a unit of Skeleton Warriors this time on my Sisters. The right flank engagements are going well for me, as expected, but Imric is losing in the air against the Vargeists and the Terrorgeist, so he's a little bit outnumbered, and he's just taking a few too many hits, and I do not have enough range support, and now with the Vampire Lord coming in, we're in trouble. So I send in a Shem's Burning Gaze to try and help him out, but it's too little too late, and with Imric down and this left flank completely crushed, I'm in a bit of trouble. So these Swordmasters again, not moving. So they come in now, but it's probably a little bit too late. I'm trying to get the Sisters out. At this point, I'm in a little bit of trouble. I've got the Slawmaster, White Lions, and these Swordmasters. The Sisters are still pretty good, but I don't have them shooting, and they take a massive hit there from the Vampire Lord before I manage to turn them around, and then the Vargeists jump onto them. Swordmasters here just coming in, cleaning up some Graveguard. They're going to fight quite well until the Vargeists and the Vampire Lord get on them. But at this point, Void is basically just in cleanup mode. So I do have a few good assets left, but just not enough to fight the Vampire Lord and everything else. Now that my Sisters are fleeing, Imric is dead, my whole left flank is collapsed. I am trying to hold on with this right flank. Again, the Swordmasters taking a little moment before I get them engaging. Trying to keep things... Try and dodge the breath weapon there, but it's as you can see, the balance of power, it's pretty much going to be army losses soon. These Swordmasters will continue to hack their way through these zombies. Is there any Graveguard in here? No, it's just all zombies. I might get the Necromancer, I might get the Terrorgeist, but it's highly unlikely as we're probably going to break and flee at this point. So let's just fast forward a little bit. We watch them just grind out a bit here until all the Vampire Count's assets come in and just jump onto the Swordmasters and the Lawmaster. So that was a good game to my opponent Void. He ended up going on and winning this tournament. Obviously really knows what he's doing. There's a few things that I think I could have done differently there. So Imric didn't do a whole lot there. So 967 value from him is not what you expect when you're paying 3,000 gold for a Lord. You do want to get a little bit more use out of him. So I think I was right in keeping him back to defend the back line, but I think I should have had a High Mage instead of the Lawmaster. The Lawmaster was doing well on the ground. Shem's Burning Gaze and Earthbloods were useful, but I think I really could have made use of a Tempest that battle, so that would have let Imric probably survive the aerial fight a little bit better, would have dealt with the Vargeists a bit, given him a bit more chance of winning that. The front line, I definitely lost focus on it a bit, so yeah, you can see none of the units, except for this White Lion unit here, made their points back. The Swordmasters got heaps of kills, but they were fighting zombies, so they needed to get onto the Graveguard. And the Graveguard, they would have dealt with the Graveguard quite effectively. Boy was really good at hitting the back line. While the skeletons and zombies didn't actually kill the Seaguard and the Sisters, they did force them to stop firing and allowed him to win that aerial duel against Imric. And once that had happened, it was pretty much game over, and he could then use his aerial assets in conjunction with his zombie and skeleton summons to really deal with the ground units. So I could have brought more mobile ranged assets. I could have brought the Illyrian Reavers to stay away from the zombie summons, or I could have had some cavalry to, you charge in on the summons, pull back the range units and focus on the micro a little bit better there. Let's have a look at how Void's units did. The Vampire Lord did okay. 2 Necromancers. I didn't notice a second Necromancer. I wonder where that second Necromancer was. I missed that one. two kills from zombies with 106 value. That's quite a lot better than what the Swordmasters were doing in retaliation, so he must have killed a couple of Swordmasters there. Graveguard did quite alright. All the value seems to be on these Vargeists and the Terrorgeists, so his aerial play was superb. So he managed to control the skies, von Carstein's rule the skies, and then just picked apart my army piece by piece. So good game to my opponent Void there. I am learning more as I play these tournaments and play against high level players, and hopefully one day we'll be able to compete a bit better. Let me know if you prefer this style of a replay talk through, or if you'd rather watch me play them live. I didn't record this one live. It was rather early in the morning and I hadn't really got everything set up and ready to go yet, and it was like a last minute jump in and play. But if you prefer to watch me actually play the tournaments, let me know. If you'd rather watch the replay, also let me know. And otherwise, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.